We're two miserable fuckers in the studio, honestly. We'll get through a pack of chocolate digestives and we'll drink a load of tea and then we'll just be on fucking
moan about everything. It's all shit.
Yeah, it's all shit.
Get flown to Moscow and then I'd have to get on this internal flight on my own. Nobody spoke any English. And I was just sat there thinking, any minute somebody's going to come and kidnap me or kill me or something.
Kind of just post and then just...
Post and ghost.
Post and go.
Yeah.
What do you say? Post and ghost?
Post and ghost.
Yeah.
Post and ghost.
Yeah, that's it. Just like post.
I travelled the world like 3 times and I can honestly look back at it and go, oh, I didn't really enjoy it because it was lonely.
We talked about it before where you had peaks and troughs. So we've both had tough times, haven't we, mentally? With
Riding the trough.
Riding the trough. And I know so many people feel the same and have been through the same.
Absolutely kind of like despising my life for a little bit, you know. And then I got into the sort of, you know, the partying and the sort of drinking and all that, not sleeping, and I just became a bit of a wreck. And yeah, I sort of decided I was that enough is enough, you know.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the support so far on this project. It means the absolute world to us.
However, we've noticed that around 75% of you who listen and watch the show haven't yet hit the subscribe or like button.
So in order for this community to grow and allow us to build this project, we have a small request from you.
Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app that you're listening or watching this show. Your commitment... What were you laughing at? I did a really good job, didn't I? Right, do another one. Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app you're watching or listening this show. Listening this show.
Remember to smile.
I'm always smiling.
You weren't.
Was I not? Stop it. Kelly's fucking waiting for us outside, bro.
Compose. Right, let's do it.
Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app you're listening to or watching this fucking show. Right, come on, just one more. Please hit the subscribe or like button. Your commitment is our commitment.
Let's do this.
Fuck off. Come on, more.
Yeah, I'm not going to cheeseball it up, but I go, let's do this.
That'll do.
Get me one of these.
We're right, we're rolling.
Cool.
Straight in. Boys, how are we doing?
Very
Great.
well.
Great, yes.
Good. Straight from Ibiza for you?
For me, yeah, just straight in, you know, never miss. Would never let you down.
Well, actually, I feel very honoured that you did, because I remember talking about the date. We're trying to work it around schedules. We're all busy, right? But I think he said something like, the only way I'm going to do it is if I get this flight, which will get me there if there's no delays. And I was like, okay, we'll see. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I'm really glad that it did.
Yeah, no, it worked out. There was an hour delay, but we still got here. Power.
And we've just met D. Welcome. How are you doing? You good?
Yeah, good. You know, I haven't come as far as he came. I came from Bow, just round the corner. It's only
Bow.
a few stops on the district line.
Oh, sound. You've come from Manchester.
Manchester, Ibiza, then Manchester, then back. Nearly missed it, but the
you
one
cancelled,
train,
right?
all trains got cancelled, but the one train that I then got changed to managed to make it. So
That was lucky.
universe style.
Really lucky.
It's meant to be. We're all meant to be here.
It is meant to be, isn't it? That.
But we've done a pod before. Was it about a year ago, or was it less? It was about a year ago, I think.
Yeah,
Something
it was
like that.
about a year, I think, yeah.
And obviously we've never sat down and talked, so we will probably start from the top. So what I'd like to do at the start is just go through a little bit about who you are, your story. Obviously, we're on a bit of a tight schedule because we're going to get Denney back to the train station to catch another train. He's going to jet off again.
It's all good.
So yeah, should we start? Denney, start with you. So who are you?
Well, my name's who are you? My name's Denney. I am a music producer, DJ, stroke lover from the northeast, not far from you, Jacky. I've been kind of in this industry for 23 years now. Produced, made records on many different labels, DJ'd for many years, had held residencies around the world at various clubs, and more recently do a lot of studio engineering for various people, and just a general music lover who has been lucky enough to make a living out of music in some way, shape or form for 23 years.
I love that. It's just that humble, you know, we speak to a lot of people on this show which just come across very humble. Our previous guest, David, was very much the same. We had David Weir, the Paralympian.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were speaking to him, and just the way he talks about his career and, you know, having these accolades and putting them in the drawer and moving on. And you know, we've known each other for years, and you've always been that way. And also another thing well, it's actually a compliment, but 23 years, he looks about fucking 25. Every time I see him, he looks younger. Yeah. I'm not just saying that. Baby face.
Oh, well, I'll take that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And D, how about yourself?
Okay, so my name's Dean. I have been in the music business. I'm like his granddad. I've been in the music business for 40 years. He's like my younger son. Obi-Wan. 40 years ago I started. I've 30 years as a professional. I actually had a hit record in 1995 called "Keep On Jumping, Let Your Body Fly" as the Lisa Marie,
Lisa Marie experience.
As Lisa Marie experience, yeah, and that's kind of where it started. And yeah, that's 30 years ago.
Wow.
Can you believe it? That's when I finally managed to give up my day job. And yeah, I'm from Sheffield. You're from Manchester, so around the corner from you. And yeah, and then I moved down to London probably about 15 years ago now. But I've been in the music business in some shape or form for the last 30 years, using different names. Never used my own name. I use the name D.Ramirez, which is, you know, keeps it sounding sexy, right? Yeah. And but and yeah, so I've been doing that since 1999. I'd sort of travelled the world as a DJ, but I stopped DJing now. I don't actually DJ anymore. Okay. Hung up my hat, and I went behind the scenes, and I went into the engineering world and the sort of ghost production world, and also do a lot of teaching. Which
like colleges or schools or okay, cool.
Yeah, all sorts. I work for Tool Room. They've got an academy, so I'm like one of their head teachers there. Nice. And I do the odd lecture at universities, which is always a bit nerve-wracking, I've got to say.
Or like in those like seminar rooms, the big lecture rooms, yeah.
Full-on auditoriums. And
auditorium, yeah. We've got all seats up.
Yeah. That's freaky.
Do you know what's interesting? I agree with that, because you could put me on a stage when I was DJing, like 4,000 people, and I'd after the first track, I'd be like, in. But public speaking, even in front of like 30 people, I'm shitting myself.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's using your own voice. There's something different about being on a stage where you don't have to speak.
Yeah. It's the number one thing that people are scared the most of.
Yeah.
Public speaking. And it's weird, when I do it, I'm really shy, introverted kind of character. I love nothing better than be on my own in a studio, right? But when I get on stage and I'm talking about something that I know about, it just comes out, flows out. And I don't get nervous or anything. Weird.
That is interesting. Yeah, no, I'm scared of shit. Apparently, it's like one of those things, facing your fears, right? And the more you do it, the stronger you become. It's like facing adversity. But the public speaking thing, I have heard it's the most difficult, but the most rewarding long term if you do it. Because you do it often, the kind of public speaking thing.
Yeah, quite a bit. We just recently did one in Tool Room in Amsterdam at ADE.
Oh, wicked!
And it was a room full of hundreds of people, you know. And I had to get up on stage with the like Britney Spears microphone on and that, and just give this monologue speech with the like slides and all this stuff. And it was just like it just flowed out of me. And then I took myself back in my chair afterwards. Like,
your sound with public speaking, you had a staff of 550 people.
550 people. So yeah, I've got experience in public speaking, and it's the same thing. When you first do it, the first time that you're ever doing it, your hands are sweating. You've got your notes. You know what you're going to be talking about, and you get up there, and your mind goes blank, and then you go, ugh. And then obviously you get past that. But it's interesting what Dean's saying there, because when you're talking about something that you love and you're passionate about, all of a sudden it's like this engine kicks in and you're saying stuff and everything's just flowing and you're like, wow, where's that coming from? Because you just connected with what you're talking about. So once you get past that barrier, it's like in here when you come on the podcast, at first there's lights, there's microphones, everything. When you get locked in the conversation, this all disappears. So when you're talking to crowds of people, after your first few hurdles of doing it, you do get used to doing it. And all of a sudden you're just getting that, I think Bruce Lee said it, like a flow state where you just boom, everything comes out. So yeah, I can relate to that, definitely.
So it's all there, all the information's there inside of you. It just sort of flows out from your subconscious without you even having to think about it. It's weird, flow state, yeah.
So, but only works, I imagine, if like that flow state, if it's something you're passionate about, like...
Love. Yeah, and that you're locked in with. Yeah,
you have to be passionate about, otherwise that energy's not going to come through. And I imagine it's probably awkward for everyone. You're trying to talk about something publicly which you're not interested in.
Well, think about Boris when he was talking about Peppa Big World. He went right off on a tangent, didn't he? What's all that about? Shuffling his notes. Forgive me. What's he doing? But yeah, one thing I noticed as well with you two lads, there was a post that I seen on one of your social media platforms, and it got me proper chuckling, because where I'm from, up them neck of the woods, as we were talking about before, Dean, was that kind of banter, and it said just a couple of two northern lads in the studio drinking tea and complaining about the weather. And when I said it, I just started laughing. Is there anything we love doing in the UK? It's that, drinking tea and whinging about the weather.
Oh, you should hear. We're two miserable fuckers in the studio, honestly. We'll get through a pack of chocolate digestives, honestly, and we'll drink a load of tea, and then we'll just be fucking
moan about everything. It's all shit.
Yeah, it's all shit. No, it's not. It's all good. It's all good.
So what made you hang up the headphones? What was that journey for you then?
It's a good, interesting story. I inadvertently became a DJ. Never wanted to be one.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I was more into music production. I was at school. I was a singer, and I was in bands, played keyboards and stuff. And then house music came along, and I was just enamored by it. It just blew my mind. And I started making house music, and it kind of blew up. Took off, and then we had the Lisa Marie Experience hit record, and then people wanted to book me. So I was like, shit, I better learn how to DJ. You know, it's like I had about 2 months before my first gig.
No way.
And it was vinyl, so I had to learn how to DJ on vinyl, and then they flew me up to Scotland. Needless to say, I was terrible. And so I never really wanted to be a DJ. I just did it. I hate to say it, but I did it because I was offered substantial amounts of money to do it, right? So I thought, I better learn. And then sort of got into it and started to really appreciate the craft of DJing, because it's really difficult to be a DJ. To do it right, you've really got to live and breathe the world, haven't you? And fully immerse myself in it. And then we sort of split up the Lisa Marie Experience. Then I got into the D.Ramirez thing, which is more sort of underground sounds and stuff. And I really got into that. But I was trying to keep it underground. But then I went and made a record that went to like number 2 in the UK chart.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that, right? So then I started getting booked at all these like commercial clubs, and I'm like, this is not me at all. I'm not, playing after the Swedish House Mafia and like all of these people. And I'm like, this just isn't what I want to do, And I found myself, kind of constantly making these records that really connected with everyone and becoming commercial, and then ended up having to play at these clubs, and then traveling the world and absolutely kind of like despising my life for a little bit,
Wow.
And then I got into the sort of, the partying and the sort of drinking and all that, not sleeping, and I just became a bit of a wreck, and I sort of decided I was that enough is enough,
So what's that journey in years like? So from you getting that first record, getting booked everywhere, to going, this is not for me, and not gigging anymore. What time frame are we looking at there? Yeah,
so like during the Lisa Marie days, that went until about 2000. So a good 5 years of just everywhere, DJing everywhere. And then I had about 5 years off before, but I had a residency, which I loved the residency. That was awesome. You could play what you want, and there's no pressure. So that was just low key. And then the Body Rocks thing remix that I did blew up, and then I was back out in the limelight again, like, go on, get out there.
That was huge.
Massive.
Oh, massive tune. That was such a...
He basically created a scene, like that kind of electro sound.
Yeah.
You were kind of, weren't you? You were really one of the originators of that kind of whole movement.
Yeah.
You say you can't get a riff out your head. I remember it vividly. It's everywhere.
So that happened, and then of course I'm back out and thrust into the spotlight again, and I became I couldn't go anywhere. People would recognise me in IKEA and in Tesco's and stuff. It was mad, and there was just like everywhere. I'd get sent off to. One weekend I'd be in Australia, next weekend I'd be in China. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Just everywhere. Like I travelled the world like 3 times, literally, and. You know what? And I can honestly look back at it and go, I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it because it was lonely. I was on my own all the time. I didn't have any mates that I could like take along and just like have a bit of a crack with. It was.
You didn't do the tour manager thing where you take someone on the road with you, because. And what year are we talking about here? Like early 2000s? Or?
So this is about 2005, 2006 time. Yeah.
Everyone now is a fucking tour manager. There might be artists who are making like 600 quid a gig, and they've got a tour manager. They've got 3 gigs a month.
I know, yeah. Like tour managers used to actually come in and carry your vinyl and stuff. Like you just see them. It still makes me laugh, like walking in with a silver Rimowa. And you're like, oh, here we go. And the tour manager, and he just opens it, just gets a pair of headphones, and like a USB, and just goes, sticks it in, and then the DJ just walks on. I'm sure you could have done that yourself. But
See, I was on my own, and I literally just used to shit myself because I'd go to these places like Russia. I was really big in Russia. Can you imagine? And I would get flown to Moscow, and then I'd have to get on this internal flight on my own. Nobody spoke any English, and I was just sat there thinking, any minute somebody's going to come and kidnap me or kill me or something. And I was like, I got off the plane, and I had to trust that somebody would come and get me. And they very often didn't speak English, and you'd have this very awkward car journey from like where you're going to this massively barren place with nothing but tumbleweeds, and it was just like the whole thing was just really unnerving, like kind of fearing for your life most of the time.
Wow.
So it wasn't that bad. It was just me. I was just,
of course.
In my own mind, that the anxiety was just off the charts. Like,
So it was the loneliness that was the downfall in your touring days, as opposed to the partying, or was it a bit of both? Or did it kind of grab hold of you? Because I know for me, the partying kind of it just become too much.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise until lockdown, but the loneliness, for you, it sounds like that, be on your own and in places which are almost, with the language barriers and stuff, that's obviously become quite intense for you then.
Yeah, I found it really unnerving. I'd never knew, and you'd never go back to the same place more than once. It was always somewhere new. Like they'd come and pick you up in Brazil and drive you into the jungle, and you'd be like, I'm not sure if I'm going to come out of here. You know what I mean? It's like, and nobody could speak English, and I was just like, get me home. It was a bit like that.
Yeah.
I'd sound really ungrateful because I know a lot of people would literally give their right arm to do what I did, but I can honestly say that I really. There were some things I really loved. Don't get me wrong, but those travelings to places where I didn't really know, far out, were scary. I found.
This episode is powered by Tenzing, the all-natural energy drink made with plants, not a science lab. It's clean, sustainable energy made with none of that dodgy stuff you find in other energy drinks. Now let me tell you what happened when I got a delivery of their new flavour, Fiery Mango. Big crate arrives, I am buzzing, thinking I've got a load of cans to see me through the winter. I open it, one can. Turns out my wife nicked the rest. To be fair, I can't blame her. The Fiery Mango is banging. Juicy mango with a fiery kick of ginger and cayenne pepper. Basically sunshine in a can. And it's not just about the taste. 100% of your daily vitamin D, magnesium for vitamin D absorption, lion's mane for mood and focus, and 160 milligrams of caffeine to power you through the crash. So whether you're working, at the gym, or just surviving that 3 p.m. slump, Tenzing Fiery Mango has you covered. And listeners of this show get 30% off. Just head to tenzingnaturalenergy.com and use the code BEAR30. That's BEAR30 for 30% off. Fire up your winter with Tenzing Fiery Mango. But seriously, hide your stash.
Well, I was the opposite to you. So I was DJ first, and I'm like Seb Zito, who we had him on last season talking about it. He never really enjoyed making music, and I only made music so I could get tracks in Beatport charts so I could get a gig. It was like a means to an end. Yeah. So when we went lockdown, everyone was like making loads of music. I was like, I'm not fucking touching Ableton. I'm just gonna fucking have a break for a minute because I don't want to make music. So I was the opposite to you. So I don't think it sounds ungrateful. What it sounds like is you were doing that because, one, probably hard to turn that sort of income down. If you're going to offer silly money to travel the world, you're going to go, fuck it, why not? But you're not going to know until you get stuck in, and you've obviously done it. You've traveled the world 3 times, so you've ticked that box, mate.
Ticked it for sure.
So what year was it that you decided then to stop and knock it on the head?
It was about 2018 when, to be honest with you, it was getting a little bit harder to get gigs anyway for me, because it was your problem is you have a hit record and there's only so long you can eke it out. After a bit you've got to make another one, and when you don't know you made that one in the first place, it's quite hard to do. You've been in the similar situation. Haven't you? Exactly the same.
The curse of the hit record.
The curse of the hit record.
That's what it is.
We talked about that previously, and about I'll not butcher the story, but to the point where you were going to gigs and no one was fucking arsed, and then you put that tune on low frequency and everyone be getting the phones out, and then as soon as you finish, they just fuck off.
Well, that's it.
And that sort of feeling must be it's fucking shit.
Well, I think we were similar in the fact that your version didn't have the vocal on originally, your remix, and it was an underground hit. Same with mine, and then obviously it got taken by the majors. The extra vocals were added to both of ours. Then it becomes a commercial hit, and then you're getting booked. But obviously DJ music that is more underground, but you're getting booked and put on these lineups. and then it becomes very confusing. The underground parties that you want to play don't want to book you anymore, and then when you're turning up to these festivals, like I know I've mentioned it before, I played a festival and I just saw it and I was just like, this, even though it was rammed, it was just awful. I just didn't like it. No one cared about any record other than that one record. So
yeah.
And
it gets to the point where you don't want to play it.
And that's
almost.
I stopped playing it super early. I remember I went to Australia and there was like, it was getting to the end of my set and the promoter was like, I think you should drop Low Frequency. I was like, I don't play it anymore. And then they were like, what?
That's why we booked you.
I was like, but I have played like 6 new records. And then, it's a bit of a funny one. Like I can't even listen to that record. I can't even listen to my own record. I don't have any. It took a long time for me to kind of appreciate it again, because it just, there was a lot of stuff happened off the back of it. There was a lot of great stuff, and then off the back of that, a load of negative stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of at peace with it now. You know, the fact that I managed to make a record that like so many people liked, I think is pretty amazing. So
I think both of you can tick that box.
Yeah, it's
well
it's
and
great.
truly. But it just come back around, hasn't it? Is it re-released? Or?
Oh yeah. So we got.
What was the story there then?
So we got the rights. It got Ministry licensed it, and then they put it out, and that's when we kind of lost control. That was through like bad management from me, various other things, and then we got the rights back. Hot Creations, when I say we, and then what we did was all the remixes that we didn't like, we got rid of. All the extra vocal version got rid of, and just re-released the original, and then we just cherry picked the remixes, and then the one person that did a new one was Danny Howard remixed it originally.
Oh, he did a new one.
Yeah, and then he called me and he said, "Look, it's not like any of the music that I'm kind of making now. Would you mind if I have another crack at it?" And I was like, "Mate, Danny's a good mate anyway." I was like, "Mate, go for it." And then
you know what's funny? I helped him do that remix.
Oh, did
the
you?
original one? Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. And that was it. And then it was amazing. Really, he did it in about 3 days. Road tested it at Parklife, and then submitted it.
But Danny's really good, you know.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. So that was kind of nice, and because Danny kind of championed it on Radio 1 originally, and made it number 1 on the Radio 1 dance chart. So the fact that he wanted a new version, it was kind of a nice little moment for me. But I mean, it's still, that record's totally different to anything I'm doing now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a different era.
It's very much a moment in time.
Yeah.
There was kind of a run of us on Hot Creations that had.
Have you noticed it coming back though?
I mean, well, I do keep. There's a certain DJ that's kind of blown up, and he's playing at every gig, and I keep getting videos. Someone sent me a video the other day of it, going, "Oh my god, look at it!" I just sent one back saying, "I think he needs to buy some new records." Just as a joke, but no. I know, yeah. So I'm not joking, but you know me, always having a crack. But yeah, no, it's got, it is what it is. It's good. I've kind of. You make the record, and once it's out there, you no longer have any ownership on it anyway, really. It's down to the people. If they want it, if they want to play it, great for it. But there's also a load of other better records, in my opinion, in my back catalogue than that one. But yeah, it is what it is.
Where's this sound kind of being revitalized from? You just mentioned about this sound coming back through. Like I was mentioning this before we got in here. I'm so out the loop. I have no idea what's going on, so fill me in. Where's the sound?
I think. I mean,
you've got the likes of Josh Baker, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got
going a bit more retro sounding. Yeah. Going back to that, and I think you went quite retro with that sound.
It was inspired. That, to be honest with you, it was inspired by Todd Terry's sound design records. That's what all the rave sounds in there. That they were just fully inspired by Todd Terry.
That's what I mean. You went back to that era.
I went back to that era, and then. It was weird because there was a moment in time where you had like Steve Lawler did that house record, which was a similar vibe. Then Patrick did, what was it? Forget. That was it. Yeah, Forget. And it kind of went, those three went boom, boom, boom. And it just kind of created this scene for like around 2015. And it was
2014, 15.
14,
if I remember,
it was. That's right, because I made it in 14.
Yeah.
Came out in beginning of 15.
Like 10 years ago, boys.
Where's that gone? Where's that gone? I know. So
I remember that because I signed my first EP to Viva in 2014, October.
Yeah.
I remember that year vividly. It's 10 years ago now, and I moved to London. Yeah. So we met you in, was it 2016?
2016,
Yeah, so Pete used to have a call centre in Manchester with like over 500 staff, and they used to throw the maddest parties. Like, you know, like they do Christmas parties, or they'll do, I don't know, a summer party. Well, you know, Defected, where they do the festival in Croatia?
Yeah.
He did a company party there.
Yeah, it is
He booked
now.
me.
Oh, where
Rafa FL, Nathan Barato. Like, you booked like a fucking lineup.
in Tisno.
With 300
Tisno,
staff.
where Love International Festival is.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're
Tisno.
Defected is now.
Yeah, I was there this summer.
Yeah. Well, he booked it for 300 staff.
Yeah, flew them all over. two Jet2 planes, I think, or EasyJet. Yeah, it was good.
And Victoria Warehouse, you booked that whole place and
Yeah.
just have a party in there. So that's why I remember that when it was
Huxley, Dave Seaman, just you, whoever else. Yeah, but yeah, it's
He's not messing about, is he?
No,
Yeah.
it was fun, wasn't it? It was fun. We had a good time.
defo. The thing about that sound though, coming back round, I know what you guys were on about, because we was talking about it recently with a guest, and I'm trying to think then who is it that we had on. But this year in Ibiza, what I've noticed, Pikes in particular, they've had David Morales down 5 times.
Yeah.
And everybody's been talking about it. Todd Terry as well. That kind of house rave sound is coming back round full circle.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
In the scene as a whole, you know, with a lot of people, a lot of DJs getting booked, and a lot of the older tracks getting remixed and revamped and coming back out. Roger was on about it as well when he came on.
Yeah, it's. I mean, just to throw it in there, there's a lot of people are doing it, and there's the thing that I find really quite uninspiring. It's great to get inspired by those old records.
Yeah.
But just doing these cover versions that are coming out, I find it quite uninspiring. Like, where are the people taking the inspiration and then making new stuff? Like, don't just get that record, throw a snare roll on it, get it resung, and then put it out as your own record. I find that a little bit.
Can I ask a question about that? Because this has annoyed me for fucking years. How did they get away with that? Because are they actually getting the
No, well, there's 2 ways of doing it, isn't there? They'll either, most time now they're just getting them resung, aren't they?
Well,
and you get away with that just recently?
Yeah, because it's a different clearance, because you clear the publishing rather than the master royalty.
Yes, okay.
here's the thing. I heard the other day that Believe the distributors are getting sued by Warner Brothers because they've been putting out illegal copies of like uncleared samples. Have you heard about this?
No. Jerry.
I don't know if
Say some more.
Oh no, should I say any more? I don't
You get
know.
all the juice on this podcast.
We can cut it out if we're not allowed.
All right.
Because they're the ones that put out. You know, if you look in the Beatport house chart, it's all like samples, Earth, Wind and Fire, and uncleared stuff. And apparently, Believe they've gone for Believe, Warner Brothers, and they've said, right, no, you can't. And they're actually suing him for all of these past catalogue that they've allowed to slip through the net.
See, this is what I mean. They have let it slip through the net, and that's the bit I don't understand. I'd look in the chart when I was this is like 4 years ago, and I'd go like, you know, house top 100 or whatever. At least 30% of them are all just basically vocals, clean vocals with a tech house beat.
Yeah. That's what it is.
And every video that you see on Instagram of artists playing, it's all vocals from the 90s hip hop tracks with a snare roll.
I think that's got a lot to do with it. And I tell you what, it has been interesting to see this year. So it got really bad kind of last year, and I've noticed it's died off a little bit. But this summer, obviously, in Ibiza and a lot of places, they've kind of banned phones.
Yeah.
And I do think there's been a little bit more decent music, original music slipping through the net. Because obviously I think people were doing it just for, you know, the TikTok and Instagram moments just to get it.
Yeah.
But
you see, as a DJ though, right, you've got 2 choices. You play an original record, or you play a record that the crowd might know. You're going to get a different reaction from both tracks, aren't you? So I think most of the sort of DJs tend to go for the tracks that will get a reaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about reaction. It's all about that TikTok 30-second moment where you can put that on and get a million hits. We've talked about this so many times at nauseum on this show. Like, that's what a lot of people are aiming towards, is that moment of all the phones all lighting up at once, you know. But then we've also spoke about the moment where these people, let's say an up and coming artist gets that moment on TikTok and they've got 5 million views and everyone wants to book them. How do you fucking follow that up? Because you've now gone from here to getting like however much your fee's gone up by. Now you're getting asked for tracks all over the place but you've now got to, like you were saying before, you do a massive hit, and then you've got to up that. How that makes the journey as a young artist, say you're 23-year-old, just hit the scene, that makes that journey pretty much impossible, and it's almost like you're guaranteed to kind of slip off in a really like, really fast trajectory. So I always find that that TikTok world fascinating. We spoke about social media before. Has anything kind of changed for you?
I'm kind of more at peace with it now. I'm just kind of, I feel like I've actually got the balance really well with it. I don't get affected I don't let it affect me, people showing, you just see everyone's best bits. Do you know what I mean? That used to kind of affect me because, like, when I wasn't as busy as I used to be, and I would see people who used to, I'd be touring a lot with, and they're still flying and stuff, that used to kind of get to me a little bit. But I've spoken to Roger, who you mentioned. Like, I remember having a conversation with him, and the same thing happened to him, where he'd be looking at people like getting on private jets all the time, and he's like, that used to be me. And it's like, it's crazy just to think even at that level, it affects people. So I kind of just post and then just
post and ghost.
Post and go. What do you say? Post and ghost.
Post and ghost.
Yeah.
Post and ghost.
Yeah, that's
post,
it.
Fuck it off.
That's it. Just like post.
You've got to, though. A lot of people, you see people, I'm not going to mention any names, but they get fully involved in the comments and the negativity.
Yeah, no.
And it must, how much time that takes is so time consuming. You get sucked into these narratives of like just keyboard warriors at the other end.
Yeah. I used to be pretty, like, not bad at it, but I used to love winding people up on Twitter.
Were you one of them?
Yeah.
I definitely get that sense.
What Twitter's for.
Yeah, I deleted Twitter about 2 years ago now. But yeah, I used to just like, it was never anything bad, but I just like, I don't know. I think it's the northerner in me. When you just like to prod people a little bit and wind them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a few little spats on Twitter, but yeah, nothing too bad. It was all just me taking the piss, basically.
That is a. Also, I find that a very British thing, because I used to go over to America.
That's it. They don't get it at all.
You take the piss, right? And they actually think you're being nasty to them.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's sarcasm. Like, we live off wit. Like, that's the British
I mean, if they saw some of my group chats with my mates, they'd be absolutely
horrified.
Horrified. Where we speak to each other.
So, what have you guys got going on at the moment then? Talk us through the current phase.
So, do you want to take this one?
Okay, what we're doing? Well, we've been making music together for a long time, but we've known each other for years.
I was going to ask, when did you guys meet? And
so we met. I actually thought about this earlier on. We met 20 years ago this year
on a flight to Ibiza.
No, right? It wasn't.
Was it?
You won't remember this. We met. I got booked to play the Pin-Up Club in Sheffield.
Okay.
And you were there. That was the night because Christoph, we used to work in the studio with you, was warming up. It was me and Nick Fanciulli, and you got thrown out that night.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, you got thrown out. And then I didn't see you for a couple of years, and then we got sat next to each other on the flight to Ibiza, and then we had a crazy night in Ibiza.
Yeah, we did. It was fun.
It was good.
Yeah.
And
20 years ago.
So the Pin-Up Club was 20 years ago, yeah.
Wow.
And then we reconnected when I was in Leeds and you were in Sheffield, didn't you?
I got him to do a remix of one of my tracks.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
There you go.
I remember doing
it. On a Zuli.
And he did this mad acid house remix. I was like, I like a bit of that, a bit of filth. And then I sort of kept my eye on him musically, and we kept in touch, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then next thing, he just sent me Low Frequencies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh my word, this is a bit hot, kind of thing. And then there was a succession of all these records. He had about 20 records, like all really good. So I was like, right, okay, let's get in the studio together. I want a bit of that.
And what year was that then?
I mean, it must have been 2014 because I had just made Low Frequency, and that's when I came and stayed at yours, wasn't it?
I was living in Rotherham at the time.
Ooh. And we made two tracks. The first one got signed to Viva on that compilation, and then we started what became Stranger Things, didn't we, on Crosstown Rebels?
Crosstown Rebels, yeah.
And so we did that, and then we started working on. Then you moved to London. Then I moved to London, so that would have been 2016.
Yeah.
And then we got back in the studio, finished that other record that hadn't come out, which became Stranger Things on Crosstown, and then we did Raven.
Yep.
Which then came out on Crosstown, and then we've got another EP coming out on Rebellion, which is Crosstown Rebels.
Yeah. So we've done all right so far.
Yeah, we've done all right. And then we're setting up this new platform,
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So I'm in education now, and I love it. It's not something I wanted to do, but I found myself good at being a teacher for some reason. I don't know why. And here I am. I'm a teacher, and people seem to really love me and kind of love what I do, and I do a lot of it. And so we kind of came up with the idea. We were just talking, and we were like, I love the idea of having like some kind of subscription model where, you know, you have a community of people like, you know, subscribe to this, or they, you know, there's somewhere, a platform where they can come and they can just sort of, you know, have one-to-one sessions with us. They can have engineering sessions. We can do some mixing, or we can help them out with what they need. You can mentor people. You can, you know, sort of whatever they want that we can offer that as a service. And then also have a label as well together, so we can just release what we want.
Oh, amazing, yeah. So it's like a full circle thing. You've got the mentorship and this engineering, and then if anything kind of catches, you're like, oh, well, can we release this now? Because that's one of the biggest issues for artists, is actually getting releases on labels. That's a bottleneck for a lot of artists.
That's it, and it's, you know, we want to give, the thing is as well, there's so many labels now where they'll get sent amazing music, and I'm seeing some of the responses for people that I kind of work in the studio with, and they're saying, right, we love the music, but you need at least 20,000 listeners a month on Spotify. And it's like, really, how are these kids getting a platform?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of important to us, and obviously we'll be getting established names as well. And then there's going to be a subscription model of like courses and production videos, and we'll be bringing guests in, and then we'll be doing sample packs, and so it's going to be like a one-stop shop really. But and we're just going to be doing it together. So
because I was going to do it on my own, and then I just happened to mention it to him, and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to do that," and I'm like, "Well, why don't we do it together?"
Well, it just made sense.
Collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because Denney, burning question, mate. I've seen a picture of you at Good Grief in Manchester, 2002. Obviously, I've been there myself. You don't look like you've not aged. How old are you? Like, genuinely, if you look at that picture, so I'm sat here thinking, has Denney been in a time capsule? And it's just like cryo-freezed himself for like 10 years.
No, I'm 40 years old.
You're 40, I'm 44, 45 in January.
Don't you dare ask how old I am.
But I tell you what, if you saw the insides,
yeah,
fucking hell.
Pickle, mate. Still sober?
I'm sober, nearly 2 years now. Yeah. So all good.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that is basically you two coming together as a collaboration to provide that platform. I think the value that you must have combined to offer people.
Oh, it's insane.
Makes sense. And these young kids now, young producers, like you said, it's a different world that we're in from where we used to be. We're aware of that. But if you've got to get a certain amount of streams to get stuff out there, then you can understand why people are going for the catchy, cheesy, cookie cut of track that gets played by Corolla or whoever that gets streamed. Because then you get the streams and then you can try and go somewhere. So what you guys are doing is taking it back.
Yeah, I think it's good because between us, I think we've pretty much covered every dance music, or I would say 95% of most dance music labels. We've worked with someone that's released, or we've been involved in some way, shape, or form. And it just kind of made sense. And we've it's a lot of planning is going into it. We're doing it. It's going to be, we're really kind of putting 100%, 110% into it, and it's going to mean a lot to us. So I've just realised we haven't told them what it's called. So it's called Raven Studios. It's called
Raven Studios. And have you guys far down the line with it? Is it in idea stage? Are you about to launch? Or let's tell us more.
So Q1, isn't it? We're kind of looking for launch.
Q1, yes.
It's Q1 next year.
So the website, we've got to fill the website with some form of content, which we're working on in it. So, it's a lot of work to sort of launch something like that. So
absolutely, you've got to think about the content you've got to create, then the actual how it's structured. You've got to manage your time. You're also touring still.
Well, the thing is, for me, is obviously Dean's a lot more experienced in this. So I mean, for me, it's quite, I've had to be doing some test videos and stuff like that. I've never been fully
audition.
I had to do an audition. It's like X Factor.
I was like, I've never seen you do this before. You better show me what you can do.
Casting couch.
That was it.
So where are you from?
But it was. It's kind of a new thing for me. Like, obviously the engineering, the one-to-one stuff, I do that anyway. But in terms of like the production video stuff, that's totally new for me. So it's kind of exciting to be at this stage. It's something else, like another string to the bow that I'm learning. And working with Dean, obviously, who is, he is an amazing producer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's always been amazing to work with him, but especially in this capacity.
I'll give you that tenner in a bit.
Well, no, but listen, for a couple of things for me, I think, firstly, if I was an artist 10 years ago when I was trying to get that release on Viva and I saw something like this would have, I would have took a loan out to do something like that. This is obviously, this will be invaluable for some people who, even not just newcomers, people who've maybe been hacking away at this for 5-10 years and just haven't got that spark on their tracks. Or even for, people who've been doing it for years and have got, plenty of accolades. It covers everything. And also for you as well, for both of you, we spoke about this before, and you mentioned strings on the bow. I think it's really important to, as an artist, to make sure you have that, what Mark Knight calls the octopus. You have all them different tentacles. You have the touring, but touring's not going to be forever. You're going to, you have your engineer, and then you've also got this. You kind of, creating that one more tentacle on that business octopus.
That's what it is, and it kind of ties in with what we're doing anyway. It's just kind of the natural progression, and it was just weird that I went for a studio session at Dean's. And then we were just having a cup of tea before, and then he mentioned it, and I was like, well, I'm looking at doing this. And then
Moaning about the weather.
Yeah, in between moaning about the weather, we do come up with some things.
Well, I actually resonate with that, because that's exactly why we're sat here.
Yeah, well, that's how. Well, circumstances were very similar, weren't they? Now it just kind of snowballed and came about. But for me, I'm getting a real sense of it's stuff that you really love doing and that you enjoy doing. So it's not, obviously, it's work, and it's something that you're going to be doing to produce some output, but the fundamentals are it's a passion and it's what you love doing.
Absolutely. You get to share it, and it's a privilege, really. It's a kind of honour to actually show people what you've learned, because I can't take it to the grave with me. What am I going to do with it? There's no point gatekeeping this stuff. And I've eschewed all this knowledge that's just totally invaluable for people. Let people have it, And I don't believe in keeping it to yourself.
I think we're both super lucky to still be, sat here talking about music, after so long for both of us. And it's like to still be able to make livings off music.
Still in the game.
Going strong, boys.
We're not, like we say, we've had both had big moments. And I know we talked about it before, where you have peaks and troughs, and
that's always going to happen.
It always happens. And I think we've both had tough times, haven't we, mentally, to deal with
riding the trough.
It's not easy at all. And I know so many people feel the same and have been through the same, and it just is what it is. So it's like, this is really nice, as we don't have to worry about the touring side. We don't have to worry about the getting gigs. It's like, this is what we're doing, this is what we enjoy, and it's like, if we can give something back, it's going to be great. So
creating value.
Being of service, and creating value. And let's be honest, the experience and the kind of resume you've both got, and the tracks that you've produced on the labels that they've come out on, you've got a lot to give people. So for these young kids, and for anybody that's interested in getting into production at a more advanced level, if I was to take up that now, sitting and listening to you two guys, it'd be something you'd be here taking notes. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got a lot to offer. Yeah. So it makes sense.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So between now and when you launch in Q1, can anyone find you, register early, and show interest?
We're going to start. So there's going to be a campaign. When's this going out?
This will be going out in January.
All right, so there should be. There'll be stuff rolling from January. Yeah, like teasers.
We'll be into it. What we've got to do though first is actually start putting some content out. Like a YouTube channel. Yeah. Just sort of let people know that this is what we're doing. And, get them to sort of, do they like our style of teaching? Do they like the way that we come across? And are we engaging, kind of thing? We do all that stuff, and then you can kind of launch.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be doing like track breakdowns and just little tips and tricks and stuff like that, and on socials, and we've got there's all that stuff's going to be starting to tease, and then we'll be doing the full launch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you're even going to teach people how to DJ, aren't you?
I am. I think I'm going to do. Well, try. I've blagged it this long. The ultimate chancer.
Well, guys, is there anything else you want to plug before we wrap up? Anything else that's coming up in the
No, I think that's it, really, isn't it?
That's the main thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. And anything you guys have got going on with that, please let us know. We'll share the links. We'll put all the links to this project you've got coming. What was the name again? One more time.
Raven Studios.
Raven Studios will be in the bottom in the captions for this episode.
Nice.
But before we wrap up, we do a feature on the show called Pass the Book.
Yep.
So the previous guest leaves the next guest a book not knowing who it's for.
Okay.
So this one was left by Olympian David Weir,
Okay.
and it is Behind the Mask by Tyson Fury. So that was for you guys. You can share that.
We can fight over it.
So and there's also a reason why he left that book. David was very open about the fact that he suffered with depression through his career and in his life, and had to deal with some pretty dark moments. So the reason for this book left by David was Tyson Fury's life story. Is the reason, just because I can relate to bits of this in his story. I've not read the full book yet, but I've read bits of it, especially the bit about depression and getting back on his feet. So that's
Amazing.
that. And what we do then, we say, look, read it, you guys, pass the book on. We're trying to pass, just like you are with Raven Studios, we're trying to pass that knowledge on, you know. So
brilliant.
And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for coming down. It was great to see you and great to meet you.
Thank you
as well.
for having me.
Thanks for having us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay.